we get out of him here tonight.
Joe, Burnett took this fight on only 1.5 weeks notice, and he's coming in off 6.5 months of inactivity, and he's 8 pounds heavier, Burnett is, than his last fight. So that tells me he did not have full preparation, obviously, for this fight.
Made the comment to us yesterday that when you're on your way up, when you're trying to break into that upper echelon, you have to be ready to go. And we'll see just how ready he is on the short notice.
Well, what he better be ready for, Burnett being who I'm speaking about, he better be ready to stay on the outside and use that jab at the right range. If he throws it from too close, he'll get countered with right hands. And that's why he got caught in that last fight, the fight that we showed the tape on, that extraordinary moment where he showed the courage to get up. He was throwing that jab from too close, standing straight, and right there you could see an opening for the right hand of Solis. You're the taller man. You better not fight in close. And right now, Burnett fighting in close.
The gold medalist finding gold on the inside there. Good combination, and then he just went after it. Now back to the jab, and that safer range for Burnett. Now he goes with a combination of his own scoring with the uppercut in the midst there.
Well, we already know that Burnett has heart. He has courage. He showed that in getting off the floor in that fight against Horace Grant. But he has to show smarts now and use his height on the outside. He's too close right now.
Got caught again.
I think all night long you're going to see Solis look for that right hand over that jab of Burnett. There's two ways to take away a man's jab, Joe. And if you're Solis, you're probably thinking, I got a tall guy in front of me, I want to take his jab away. One is use your own jab. And the other is what we've seen, throwing right hands over the bigger man's jab. Discourage him a little.
Over 4-inch height advantage for Burnett. But that commitment to that jab has already created opportunities for Solis. Punch track numbers you see early on as Solis on the jabs, he's landed 5 of 7. You see the commitment to the jab by Burnett. He knows that he has to keep that up, but he needs to be effective with it. Trying to control these closing moments with that big walking stick is Burnett. Coming to the end of round number 1 of our heavyweights in the co-feature.
Toma aire, la amenaza. Toma aire, ponle la...
Do it again. Nice and tight. Just take your little angles, you understand? I am telling you, you weather this storm, he is not in shape. Yeah. The moment he stops at that, you've got to start your initial attack. You just got to come back with the jab. Now he's counterpunching your jab. How do you stop somebody from counterpunching the jab? We talked about this in the gym. Counterpunch. Yeah.
You want to assist me if you're straight on the other side so I can watch.
Thanks, BK. Big NBA showdown of heavyweight teams there. Cavs and Celtics, and we got a heavyweight showdown here in our co-feature with the Olympic gold medalist in action, making his U.S. debut. That is Odlanier Solis in the blue trunks, taking on 13-1-1, 6'6" American heavyweight Kevin Burnett. Glad you're with us here on the season debut of Friday Night Fights. I'm Joe Tessitore, ringside with Teddy Atlas, Brian Kenny, and Bernard Hopkins, the new ESPN boxing analyst, in studio tonight. Still to come, one of the great power punching sensations to enter the sport, Yuriorkis Gamboa, in the main event against Roger Gonzalez. Teddy, I got to ask you this. In between rounds 1 and 2, we were listening in to Pat Burns, the trainer of Kevin Burnett, and he gave his fighter a little bit of a pop quiz. He said, what do you do? How do you stop a guy from countering a jab? Well, what is the answer for Kevin Burnett?
Making sure that you do not throw your jab. If you're the man who's the jabber, as Burnett wants to be. Do not throw that jab from too close. Again, I'll go back to the videotape. The Horace Grant fight, we saw it when Burnett got off the floor the last couple of seconds of the last round when he got caught the right hand. He was throwing that jab from too close. Hopefully, Pat Burns, his good trainer, has learned from that and has gotten that lesson through to Burnett. It's great to have a jab and great to be tall, but you better throw it from the right range. You throw it from outside far enough away, you'll be effective. If you don't, you'll get counted. And I'm sure Bernard Hopkins, the terrific former middleweight champion of the world, would also tell you there's other ways to keep someone from countering you. You can double your jab up. But if you're a taller guy, you kind of defeat the purpose. You're taking that height away from yourself. But if you're a little shorter, you double the jab up and you keep the other man's right hand in his pocket, like the old timers would say. You don't give him room to throw it.
Stop!
And there is Pat Burns, the trainer of Kevin Burnett. He also currently trains John Duddy, very popular Irish fighter who we've seen on our air before.
You know, Joe, I mentioned in the last round that Burnett came in 8 pounds heavier than his last fight. You wonder if he's in top condition or not, and he has an excuse for it. He took the fight on 1.5 weeks' notice. Solis, no excuse. He's the heaviest weight of his career, 6.5 pounds more than his last fight. So you wonder about the condition also of the man who had full time to prepare for this bout. The undefeated fighter, Solis.
Solis comes in at 259.5. Teddy, give me a range that you'd like to see Solis at. If you look at his frame, he's a little over 6'1". What's the weight you want to see him at?
We'll talk about that after this round.
Some time to think about it, coming to the end of 2. Okay.
Breathe and relax. You're making this guy do something he doesn't want to do. He's having to fight. Okay? He came here with expectations of getting you out of here. Okay? We've lost these first 2 rounds, but you're doing some good things in here. Do you understand? He's really having to exert himself. All right? We got a ways to go. We don't want to get too far behind. Now let's try to win this round. You got to get back on that jab. You can double up on the jab, right? Bring
Pat
the right
Burns
hand so
giving some instructions to his charge. Kevin Burnett trying to get the upset tonight against Solis. He knows he has to commit to that jab. That was the strategy going in.
He's just looking for overhand right.
Just like last fight, jab, jab, jab. Put the jab in his face all night. You know, when he get close, tie him up. Use my angles when I have to. But tonight is about the jab, so that's all I'm worrying about is the jab, jab. So jab and defense. Defense win fights. Jab and defense win the fight.
Well, right now, Kevin Burnett is 16 of 86 on his jabs. Pat Burns said when he returned to the corner after the second round, he said, hey, I think we've lost those first 2 rounds, but you're doing some good things. You're making him fight. He's in a fight. He came here thinking he was going to get rid of you. That is not the case.
You know, you asked me a question at the end of the last round about what weight I would like to see Solis at. Well, first of all, not at the weight that he's at. How's that for a beginning?
That's 259.5 currently. He's just over 6'1", Teddy. So what's the mark if you were training him?
You know, he turned pro, you know, at 258. In his 6th, 7th, and 8th fight, he was down between 247 and 246. Then he went up again. And, you know, he's up now. This is his coming out party in the United States. First time that people have gotten to see him over here. He comes in the heaviest of his career. One of the things that sometimes people are a little bit down on about Cuban heavyweights when they defect and when they hit these shores is that they come here with great credentials, great amateur background, great talent. But sometimes it's almost like they get the golden crown just by getting on these shores. They lose some of the discipline that they had when they were in their native country that made them the best amateurs in the world. They start to deteriorate a little bit in the work ethic program. And I think that that's something that Solis' people are going to have to pay attention to.
Oh, there's a wide right hand that loops in after an uppercut, and now Burnett is clearly hurt as Solis is just bringing it time and time again halfway through this 3rd round.